On today's show, the marketing director of Shaw Homes, Aaron Antis, joins us to share about the epic growth of Oklahoma's largest home building company and how Broken Arrow's mayor, Craig Thurmond, has paved the path for fast growth in Broken Arrow, while also revitalizing downtown Broken Arrow. On today's show, we discuss how local government can make it easy to do business or how it can get in the way and make it very, very difficult to grow.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, I am so excited for you to learn more about the Broken Arrow mayor. And you might say, why? Well, I'm a business guy, and as a business guy, I believe that government exists to serve the people. I believe that the government exists to serve the people, to protect the people, and to create an overall environment that is conducive for families to have safety, for families to feel secure, and for people to be able to run businesses and not be impeded by the government. And so therefore, anytime I find somebody in government that sees the world the way that I believe the founding fathers wanted to see it, somebody who is truly a civil servant, I want to have them on the show. But in addition to that, when I find out that this civil servant might be working for the low price of free, I think to myself, now that is a no-brainer, but at some point, maybe I'm not sure what the upside is. So Aaron Antis, you run Shaw Homes. You're the marketing director, I believe is the title.
Yep.
Shaw Homes this year. Talk to us about the growth of Shaw Homes in the past 12 months. So listeners, just have a little context about the size of Shaw Homes, where it's based. Just give us kind of an overview of the size of Shaw Homes, the growth you're having, and where you guys are located.
Well, sure, Clay. First of all, I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah.
And really exciting. I mean, in the last 12 months, we've seen some massive growth. And what listeners might not know is a lot of our business is in Broken Arrow. We are all over the greater Tulsa area, but we definitely have the lion's share of our business in Broken Arrow. And in the last 12 months, I mean, we have seen some pretty massive growth. We're not a new startup company where you would sometimes see from year 1 to year 2 having huge growth because it's just in its startup phase. After being in business since 1985, we actually year over year had a 30% growth just in the last 12 months.
Get out of here.
So, yeah.
That's a 30% growth in the last 12 months.
Yeah, which is huge.
Now, think about this for just a quick second.
Yeah.
You guys build homes.
Yeah.
What would happen if you had the market that was hungry for new homes, but you were working with a mayor that was a deal slayer?
Oh, so you want me to talk about some of the other cities in the greater Tulsa area?
Other cities in the Tulsa area. Won't mention specific names.
Oh, yeah, there's some of them.
Wouldn't do that, although I want to.
Right.
But what can happen when you're in a city like certain cities where you have a mayor that's maybe antagonistic to development?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have somebody who's anti-growth, obviously it's harder to get a water line put in. It's harder to get streets put in. There's so many things that become difficult for us. And so we end up in a scenario where, we can't. It takes us a lot longer, which makes it more expensive for us to put our lots in at the cost that's more affordable for the home buyer. And ultimately, when it takes longer, time is money. And so when it's a complicated process that takes longer, that means that cost ends up getting passed on to the consumer. So the people who live in that city pay more for the same home in that scenario than they would in a city where it's more cost effective and things go quicker.
So if you looked at it objectively, and I know you know Mayor Craig Thurmond, and I know he's also running for re-election, but if you just objectively, how much easier is it to work in the city of Broken Arrow under the leadership of Mayor Craig Thurmond than it is in other municipalities?
Oh, it's much easier. First of all, Craig's background, I mean, he understands land development. He understands business because he's been in that role before, been a business owner. He sees things from behind the scenes, and he knows the ins and outs of what it takes to get a community or development done. He understands how to work with the government from the business side and from the development side. And so in our world, that's a huge advantage for us, because when we go to him in his role, it's easy for him to understand what our needs are, but also understand what the city has to do and the protection of what it needs as well. So it's great to have somebody who's been on both sides of the table, so to speak.
Now, before I reintroduce Mayor Craig Thurmond onto the show here, do you like him?
Yeah, he's a great person. Absolutely.
Mayor Craig Thurmond, I'm glad we got that awkwardness out of there. I was worried if you guys had a feud going on. How are you, sir?
I'm great.
Hey, you just returned from Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And if I'm exaggerating or throwing hyperbole out there, let me know. I believe you were in the presence of President Trump.
Yes.
Mayor Bloomberg from New York. I mean, you were
Yes.
in the presence of some pretty big people. What were you doing out there in Washington, D.C.?
The U.S. Conference of Mayors was in last week, so I went there. I got a chance to meet with Senator Langford. I met with Inhofe staff. I met. We had a meeting on Friday at the White House where we had Ben Carson speak, Kellyanne Conway spoke.
Wow.
Larry Kudlow spoke. Really had a good economic discussion with him.
Did they let you rock the mic?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Come on.
They speak to us.
That is not Trump-tastic.
So, no.
Okay, now here's the
then
thing.
Trump spoke at the end.
Trump spoke at the end.
Yes.
Okay, now, objectively, how fast is Broken Arrow growing? Is it one of the fastest growing cities in Oklahoma? Is it one of the slowest growing? Is it one of the fastest in the nation? Give us some sort of...
It definitely is one of the fastest in Oklahoma. By numbers, the only city that has grown more in the last 10 years has been Oklahoma City, which is 660,000 people. So
Wow.
It should grow more. So we are the second fastest growing city in the state.
And that's only because you're not mayor of Oklahoma City. Could you be mayor of two cities at the same time? Is that legal?
No, you got to live in that city.
Okay, well, what we're going to talk about today, this is kind of the lineup for today's show. Aaron Antis runs a massive home building company, and I want to tap into his wisdom. I want to talk about the growth you've seen in the past 8 years. And then Charles and Amber Kolaw, they are people that live up in the Owasso area, and they are business owners of a company called Kolaw Fitness. And I would like for them to be able to ask you any rude question that they would like to ask the mayor of Owasso, but they can't because he's not on the show today. But they're going to ask you these kinds of questions because I have found that mayors, local municipalities, local government can really impede growth. They can really slow it down. They can make it tough to get permits. They can make it tough to get stuff done. And I want them to be able to ask you questions on behalf of all the small business owners out there, all the citizens out there. And then Devin, you live in Broken Arrow. Are you still living in Broken Arrow?
I do.
You live over there by Rama, right?
I do. Yes.
And you can ask Mayor any questions you have. You can air your grievances.
Oh, man.
So if you just want to list off a bunch of things, if there's a part of Broken Arrow you're not happy about, you can tell him. He'll take some notes. But obviously this show is designed to share about Mayor Craig Thurmond and some of the wins he's had over the past 8 years and maybe why you should consider voting for him in the next re-election there. But let's go with the Rose District first. For those people that don't know what the Rose District is, it's kind of a part of downtown Broken Arrow that didn't exist 7 years ago. Aaron, describe what the Rose District is and maybe how it's affected your date nights with your wife.
Oh, in such a positive way, let me tell you. Thank you for that, Craig, by the way. But, I mean, it was kind of a dead area years ago, and there wasn't a whole lot going on down there. If you went down there after 5 o'clock, there's just nothing going on down there. If you wanted to go on the weekend, there's not a whole lot to do. And now there's so many cool events happening there on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of great restaurants. You got probably some of the best pizza you can get anywhere in the state of Oklahoma. I would argue anywhere in the country.
I'm taking my wife there tonight.
You can go, yeah. I mean,
for sure.
There's so many neat new restaurants. There's the Rooftop. There's just so many good things. Toast, if you want breakfast.
Kendall, look at
great
this on the
toast
screen
place
here. We
called
got toast. I can pull it up on the screen here. So as Aaron, you're describing, he can show it on the screen up here. We've got the Rooftop here. and I'm turning over here. Have you eaten at the rooftop here?
I have, yeah.
What about Andolini's?
Oh, I've eaten there so many times I should be ashamed.
By the way,
It's
it
so
looks
good.
like you haven't eaten in like a month or so. Are you losing weight?
I am, yeah.
How much weight have you lost?
I am down 22 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you fasting? Do you have some kind of disease?
I am eating right and not eating as much.
So, and then Fiesta Mambo's, have you been there?
I have been.
What about the gelateria?
Oh, so good. Yes, I've eaten there also.
You been to Toast down here? You said Toast. You been here?
Toast is great. That's kind of my go-to, like in the morning having brunch with the fellas. We've got some guys that like to meet up, and yeah.
Now over here, this is a bank here. It's the First National Bank. You once got, I believe, asked to leave. They have a no solicitation sign, and you said, "I'm not leaving until I can get a sucker." Are you allowed back in there now? or?
Yeah, they actually will let me back in there now. Yeah.
Okay, but this area is thriving now.
It is. It's awesome.
How was it before?
It was a ghost town after
Oh.
hours. There was no reason to go there. Now it is the spot, the place to be. I kind of equate it, for those people from Tulsa, I equate it to, there's another area that's called Brookside that a lot of people love to go
Yeah.
to. It's where all the hipsters hang out. It's where all the cool people in Tulsa hang out. And now I'm noticing, like, we're getting customers who want to build a home, and they're gravitating over,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, there's finally a place to go. There's somewhere to go hang out, have
Oh,
a good
yeah.
time. And we didn't have that in Broken Arrow before. So
I
love
loiter
it.
in this area right here on the screen here, Kendall. I will loiter right in this region right here. There's a place over here where they burn pinyon wood out in front of the store.
Oh,
I'll loiter there for usually, 12 hours every Friday. No, I'm just kidding. But I go there with my wife. It's a great area now. Mayor Craig, what role did you have in doing this? Did you do all of this? Did you build this all by hand? Did you lead the initiative? What did you do here?
Well, we started a committee in 2004 to talk about the downtown redevelopment. And so about 7 years ago, we came up with the name Rose District because we used to be known at the turn of the century as the city of roses and natural spring water at
Yeah.
the turn of the 20th century. So we took the Rose District, and so we've the whole city council has been involved in this, and we've talked about putting planters in and irrigation on all the light poles and speakers. I really like having the music downtown.
Did you do the speakers? Was that you?
That was not me.
Who
but
came up with that
was
idea?
a great touch.
Staff
by the way.
actually came up with the idea of doing the speakers.
Oh,
and
yes.
That's one of my favorite things that we've done.
I have had so many people come to the Thrive Time Show conferences from all over the country. We've had people from Mexico attend multiple times, Canada, and a lot of times they say, Clay, what's some cool stuff to do? And I say, one, you can go to Utica. Utica Square is nice, but it's going to be busy. It's in Tulsa. It's going to be busy. If you want to have that same mojo, but not quite the traffic, you want it to be nice, but you don't want to wait in line for 2 hours for a pizza, check out the Rose District. And people have commented to me, those speakers are awesome. It's a beautiful touch.
That's a great touch.
So that's part of it. Now, did you give any tax incentives for businesses to develop here, or?
Well, at first we did. We had a TIF, a tax increment finance district, that we used. That part of it did the development down there, along with when we did the first couple blocks. Along with we gave incentives to some of the businesses to get them started. And of course, now that money's gone, and we don't need any incentive. Businesses are trying to be in that area, so we don't need the incentive. We've got the Bramble Restaurant opens tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
in the
I love that.
old Presbyterian Church. So we've just got more and more what we've done with Milestone Development, which should open up late spring, early summer. Is going to be about 30,000 square feet of retail and 95 apartments.
that is so
building.
cool.
So there's a lot of things that are happening that we're just growing and growing. But we did give business incentives. We kept flight safety in town with part of our TIF.
Yeah.
Which was really important because they're one of our highest, the private employer, the second highest private employer number of employees.
How many employees do they have?
They have around 800 employees.
Well, we gotta get the people in charge or some of the employees from that place on this show.
Yeah, I think it would be great.
We got to do it.
That's
And-
mainly engineering and designing, but they're the largest flight simulator manufacturer in the world, and they manufacture every flight simulator in Broken Arrow.
Really?
So it's really something pretty special.
Clay, I think they should all build Shaw Homes also. Everybody that
Yeah.
works there.
Yeah,
Every single one of
absolutely.
them.
That should be a part of the onboarding process.
Just a thought.
Fill out the handbook here, sign here, welcome. Let me sign this form, sign that form. Here's your house. You're going to pay for it. Now, this right here, if we look at the screen here, Kendall, this is we're looking at the land here. that is being. It doesn't look like this now. Now
Right.
it looks like a big
four-story
old
building,
4-story
yes.
building. What are we building right here? What are we building here?
It's Milestone is doing that, and they have 30,000. It's a mixed-use project, 30,000 square feet of
Really?
retail on the bottom. With the top 3 stories are all residential apartments.
That
And
is
then-
going to be awesome.
One of the businesses that I'm involved in over here is called the Hub Gym, and I just want to be totally
Yes.
transparent. If you go to the Hub Gym and you work out there, I want you to, and I'll tell you why. One, I care about you, but two, I make about $150 a month if you go there. So I want everybody to go there, and then if you can go there and then not work out, we can get 5 times more of you there. So, but no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I'm not kidding though. I do want you to show up there and sign up. But this place is booming now. This was
It
not
is,
before.
yeah.
This was a sad,
Yes.
empty. This was a feed store that was defunct, was it not?
Right. It was empty, and they bought it and redid and created that gym and some
Oh,
shopping there. In fact, my son works out there. He likes it a lot because you can go
Yeah.
in 24 hours a day to get a card, and you go in anytime.
Thank him for the $150,
Yes.
by the way.
I will.
Tell him that's a $150 right there. That's a half gallon of gas right there, Aaron.
That's true. That's true.
And the Hummer, and then a half a gallon of gas gets me about a quarter of a mile.
In the Hummer. Yeah.
In the Hummer, yeah. Okay, so we got the Rose District. We talked about this, the development of downtown. Let's talk about the making Broken Arrow, the vision for Broken Arrow. What's the vision? Is this Rose District gonna get bigger? Are we going wider? Are we going deeper? Are we doing where you're doing retail and then there's condos on top? What's the vision?
Well, I think there is a vision. We're doing one more block of the Rose District, and a lot of that, we've done this downtown residential overlay district, and it's really, that allows people to do mixed use or multifamily throughout the area, along with more density. So I think that's part of the vision. But really, we have to, the Rose District is something that we've done and we've accomplished, and it's really a great area. But we've got to look at what's next, because with anything, if you don't continue to move forward, you're going backwards. And so our next concept is an innovation district. Is what we're working on right now, is an innovation district where students can, no matter where they're going to school, whether it's Tulsa Tech or whether it's higher ed or Broken Arrow Public Schools, they can work and be an intern in the innovation district for a business and innovation district, and then have a job whenever when they graduate from school.
That's awesome. And actually, I'm going to jump in here, Craig. One of the things I love about the mixed use and having, people be able to, work and live in an area like you're working on with that whole area down there that's just underway, is that this is what's popular all over the country. And the phrase is walkability. And it's nice to be able to be in an apartment upstairs and go to the retail space downstairs and then walk down the street and go to a couple different restaurants. And this is huge all over the country in some of the most thriving cities all over the nation. And we've looked around and studied it and seen what's going on around the country. And it's awesome to see it coming to Broken Arrow. I did have a question. Is there any truth to the rumor out there that Jerry Jones is going to move the Dallas Cowboys to Broken Arrow? Was that, or was that just all rumor? I'm hoping we're going to get a pro team here. Any truth to that, Craig?
I think that's all rumor. In fact, I was with Jeff Williams, the mayor of Arlington, last week. I think he'd very much not agree with that.
Okay, so apparently that was a rumor. Maybe I
Yes.
started, Clay. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, I want to talk about this for a second. I'm glad we're getting into the rumors. A lot of people love to tune into the show just for rumors. People love rumors, and a close cousin of rumors is drama. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when you think about politics, certain cities, I'm not going to throw certain mayors under the bus right now, but there are major cities where there's always drama. There's always a corruption. There's always some leaked video, somebody scamming somebody, people getting paid under the table. So I'm going to ask you a tough question here. Now, Charles has tougher questions, but I'm going to ask you a tough one. When you get paid $0 per year to be the mayor, how much do you really get paid?
$0. It's $0. And one thing, we're very much being open and transparent is very important to us. And, one thing is I have the opportunity to serve the community. Not many people get that opportunity, but I have that opportunity to serve the community.
I don't think anybody out there would be satisfied if I would stop there. I think there's somebody out there that says, really? You work for free? What are you, Santa Claus? What are you, Jesus? I mean, there's a very few people. Jesus, I'm not sure what Moses' salary was. I don't know what Abraham. I'm not sure these guys got paid, but there's very few people that
Right.
altruistically want to make something better with zero compensation, because this requires a lot of your time. I mean, what percentage of your calendar is filled being mayor at this point? What percentage of your time?
Probably about a third of my time is spent working for the city.
No pay at all?
No pay at all.
Why? Why do you do this to yourself?
Because it's made it a better place. We're a better place to be. And as I said, not many people get that opportunity in their life to make their community better. And I've had that opportunity. So it's really pretty special to me. And one thing we do is we're the only city in the state that we have a software program called OpenGov. And OpenGov, every dime that is spent, every gallon of gas put in a police car, every shovel Public Works buys, it's all shown. You can go on the website and you can look at it and see where we spend every dime of taxpayer dollars. Because it's very important that we're good stewards of taxpayer dollars.
Where can we go to see this?
On the Broken Arrow website. Just go to Broken Arrow website and go to OpenGov, and you can find it.
Okay, I'm going there right now. I'm going to brokenarrow.gov.
Yeah, and speaking of transparency and just character, I mean, prior to Craig being in office, I mean, we did business with him in the private sector. And, you know, one of the reasons that we did business with him for many years is because he's a person of character and integrity. And in the, you know, building trades and the building world, there can be a lot of unscrupulous people. And as Craig knows and has probably experienced before as well. But, you know, Craig is the kind of guy that's going to do what he says he's going to do. And as a company, we've experienced that for many years. So.
What's your religious view? And does that in any way impact what you're doing as mayor? I mean, are you trying to erect the largest recreation of Noah's Ark possible in downtown Broken Arrow? Or are you? What's your religious view? How does that impact what you do?
Well, I'm a born again Christian. I attend Life Church here. I really think it's important that we have this biblical philosophy, and we continue on with that. And that is my religious view. And I've been a Christian ever since I've been 10 years old. So it's real important that we try to live to be a reflection of heaven on the earth. And so it's. I mean, I don't think anyone can really live a life like Christ because he was a perfect person, but we can be a reflection of heaven. So it's very important that we do that, and that is my viewpoint. I think it's important that we continue to try to be that reflection of heaven and do what God wants us to do.
Aaron,
to that.
At Shaw Homes, again, you build houses for people, and the average price point is about what right now?
We are average price point of about $282,000.
Okay. And you guys last year, you know, roughly $80 million of sales. That's awesome.
Yep.
You're on pace right now. You said you're up. How much what is your growth so far in January as a percentage?
400%.
Oh, Shunda. Now, I'm a great math guy. I'm really good at math. And what I've determined is that if you take 80 million and you multiply that by 4, that's a lot. I mean, you carry the two, you round it. You're doing well. Yeah. $320 million would be the pace if we kept that up. That's exciting.
That would be pretty exciting.
And then you make a commission. That's cool.
Yes.
Talk to us again, though. Let's just mention some cities that are nearby. I'm going to mention some cities. I'm not asking you to boo them or anything, but I'm just going to throw out some cities, and then you just film his face. There's a transcript of this show that goes out. He can't lie. So if I were to go, you know, try to get a permit to develop a neighborhood in Broken Arrow, is it a pretty good thing? Is it a good experience, Aaron?
It's a very good experience.
Look at his eyes. He's not lying to you.
In Broken Arrow.
Now, if I were to go down the road a little bit, you know, go into Tulsa, how's it going? Now, if I were to go, so I go back. Not as good. No. Why? Why is it not as good? Why is it not as good? What's the deal?
Because Broken Arrow is very open to growth and wants to grow as a city. And some cities don't want to grow as much. That's not where their forte is. That's not what the direction is or the vision is for the city. And so, you know, there's a little bit more hurdles in place, a little bit more red tape to try and get things done. And it just doesn't happen as quickly. So,
are you down with GT Bynum? Do you spend some time with GT? GT, are you with me?
I don't hang out with
GT.
him
Are you
often,
with me?
So yeah,
because he likes GT. Do you like? Sure. Do you know GT? You know GT? You and GT?
I do know
talk?
GT.
Yeah. And you feel like Tulsa's making steps to become more pro-friendly for development? You think? What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right, nice. I love politics. It divides the room and then builds us back together.
This is true.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about it with Shaw Homes. If you could only build in Tulsa, if you could only build houses in Tulsa, would your growth be the same as it is now?
Nowhere near.
Why?
Because there's too many obstacles in the way.
Such as
how, a simple example would
simple.
be a main water line, 12-inch water line, has to be made out of a different type of product than it does in Broken Arrow.
Is it horsehair?
No.
Sorry.
And so that product is, just give you an idea on a water line recently, it's the difference between a $700,000 water line and a $1.1 million water line. So that $400,000, you would think, that means the builder has to pay for that. Nope, that cost is part of our expenses, and it gets put into the equation to figure out what the price of the home is. So it gets passed along to the homeowner, and the homeowner ends up paying more to live in that location because a water line that is perfectly good to use on a major, a 12-inch water line that actually is more convenient, honestly, and less costly over time. Craig can tell you about this. It's less costly to repair and stuff over time. They will not back down from that. I'm experiencing it right now. So.
Why? Why don't they back down, Craig? What's going on?
Well, I think that probably what Aaron's referring to is they're wanting a ductile iron water line.
Correct.
Versus our city, we use PVC. PVC has a life of around 1,000 years. And
it's not enough for me. I eat a lot of kale.
Yes.
Okay.
And ductile iron has a life of 50 to 100 years. Yep. It rusts on the inside and it occludes, so it's not really a great product. Structurally, they sometimes they feel it's better, but not many places require you to do that because it's kind of an antiquated product compared to what we have nowadays.
So if you're out there today, you might be thinking, well, Clay, why are we having to learn all this stuff? Well, because you when you do vote, I like to talk about entrepreneurship and businesses and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, your local government can really, really screw up your life. They can. So let's talk about this. Do you feel like we should reelect this guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Why?
Because he is a pro-business mayor. He's a pro-growth mayor. But he's also about protecting all of the you think about it this way, the family is very affected by everything that a mayor does and what the vision of the city is. And so all these people who are sitting in their cars or houses or whatever listening to this, they're thinking, well, this stuff doesn't affect me. You're wrong. I mean, if a home in Broken Arrow costs $10,000 more to purchase right now because we have a mayor who is doesn't understand some of those things, that money comes out of your pocketbook, and that's less money you can spend on vacations or spend taking care of your kids' college education and saving for those things. Everything about politics is right in the middle of your family and everything you're doing in life. So we sometimes put our head in the sand and forget about these things and ignore what's going on. But I think it's really important to support somebody like Craig. And the other thing is, like you were asking about, like what his religious views are, I think that has a huge impact on anybody who's in that kind of a role because, he's coming from a perspective that he's got the best interest of the people living in that city in mind. When he's going through sitting in any of those meetings, he's going to represent the best possible interest in making sure that people are taken care of in a from a godly perspective. And I appreciate that in a huge way.
Well, we're going to have some people hop on the mic here. They're going to ask some rough questions. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, last time we had Charles on the show interviewing a mayor, we never even aired the show. It was a violence. It was gratuitous. It was a lot of. It was tough. It was tough. He what we did is he asked the question. He wasn't happy with the answer, so he got we took the mayor that we won't mention what show it was. Took him into a room with just a light bulb. Just Charles and a light bulb. You can imagine what happened. And anyway, it is. So, Charles, I'm going to have you hop on the mic here. And then, Devin, you've got some questions here. You're a citizen in Broken Arrow. And you can ask the mayor any questions you want. So I'm going to start off with Devin here.
Oh, man.
Now, Devin, you go. It's like good cop, bad cop. So Charles, we know he's going to be the bad cop. You can't be that physically big and not be the bad cop. You know, he was a good owner of a fitness business, but should he become a cop, he would be a bad cop because look at him, he's just too big. So, Devin, let's go with your. What questions would you have for Mayor Craig?
So much pressure.
As a concerned citizen, very concerned.
Very
sleepless.
concerned.
Sleepless
very
you are.
concerned.
Okay.
So with the future kind of headed toward this innovation district, what kind of companies do you see moving into to fill up that spot?
Well, I think we're going to have some of our existing companies are manufacturing. We're very much into aerospace and energy right now. So we're going to see probably more manufacturing expansion, but we also need to see tech companies. So to have an innovation district and to be on the cutting edge, we need to have tech companies here. So we're working very hard. We're working with some higher ed universities to try and get those tech companies and try to work with them to try and bring them here. So I think it's going to be more technical than what we have today.
Okay, tech companies. What kind of tech companies? Are you talking about, agricultural technology companies like John Deere?
I think it's going to be more tech. Like right now we're aerospace. We have flight safety. We have some. They're very high tech, but I think it's going to be more tech. We're going to cybersecurity is a big issue nowadays. So I think we're going to see cybersecurity is going to be one of the issues, and we have universities right down the road. Tulsa University is one of the leading in the country in their cybersecurity. So we want to work with them and try to bring more cybersecurity type programs and companies to our city.
Devin, if you get a mega point for stumping the mayor,
you
did not get a mega point.
I did not.
But he got a mega point.
He should. That was great.
I'll give you an opportunity to stump him. One more question. How long have you lived in Broken Arrow, approximately?
I've lived here the majority of my life. So
okay.
20 plus years.
So, but for the last 8 years, it's been booming.
Correct.
Previously, not so much.
Yeah, I think previously the only reason I went downtown is because I was marching in band in a parade or I was watching a sibling in a parade. I think that's it.
Okay, so what is your final question you have for Mayor Craig Thurmond? You can go in there. You can make it rough. You can make it religiously divisive. You can ask him about the cowbell thing we've talked about a lot off air. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to ask him?
So, Mayor, where is your favorite place to hang out in Broken Arrow? Apart from the Rose District.
Oh, from the Rose. I was going to say the Rose District. So
we've talked too much about that.
Atwoods.
I do like Atwood.
Yes. My man.
But I like Bass Pro was a big deal when we got Bass Pro here. So Bass Pro, but probably my favorite place, my wife and I go there a lot, is Warren Theater. We like to go to South Broken Arrow to Warren Theater, and it's very unique compared to some other theaters around. So we really enjoy Warren Theater.
What did you do? What was your involvement with the Warren Theater? Was that another TIF thing? Was that another?
We did give some incentives to the developer there, but met a lot with Bill Warren and convinced Bill Warren. He was looking at going to other communities, and it was really hard to convince him to when he did do that theater, and now he sold it to Regal. But originally we did a lot with Bill Warren and to bring him here and to show him why this was a place to be. And he really felt that it was. So he did, he's got. When
you're trying to wow a guy to build a big theater, a big multi-million-dollar theater, what kind of stuff do you do? I mean, do you take him out to like Taco Bell or something and say, hey, I got it? Do you do that? I mean, do you take him to Quick Trip and say, whatever burrito you want here, I got it? I mean, what do you do? How do you get them?
I think you just, you don't, because people like Bill Warren can afford whatever they want.
Okay.
So you don't really
strike that idea.
You just talk about the opportunities that we have here, the citizens we have here, the number, how we're growing, and the great things and the opportunity, and also how we focus with business on trying to create to be a partner with business and not be you versus them, which some communities we talked about. It's a you versus them. So it's really important to business people, even if you're doing a theater or a restaurant, to be able to have the community wanting to be part of your business and wanting to help you.
Years ago, I got hired by the guy who invented Sky Vodka. And if you do a Google search for my name, Clay Clark, and Tulsa World, you can read all this. It's all documented. But Maurice Canbar, Kanbar, he hired me after buying 23% of downtown Tulsa.
He did, yes.
And he says, this is what I want you to do. do this. He sends me a link, his assistant does. And it is for the Brookings Institute. They have 12 steps it's called 12 Steps, Turning Around Downtown, 12 Steps to Revitalization. This is the Brookings Institute. They studied Austin, Texas, Louisville, Kentucky, the Gaslamp District in San Diego, all these areas that are now thriving that used to just be struggling. And so I'm going to go through the checklist, and then Charles is going to hit you up with some questions here. So step one, they say, you got to capture the vision. I feel like every time I talk to you or people tell me about you, you're always talking about the vision for Broken Arrow. Okay, so step one, you get a mega point. Step two, see, that's step two here. This is on the Brookings Institute report. Develop a strategic plan.
Yes.
And you got to be consistent with that plan. And I've heard folks tell me they're worried about having another mayor in here who might deviate from the plan. Right. Step three, forge a healthy private-public partnership. You've done that too. Mm-hmm. So you've that. And what does the TIF stand for again? TIF?
Tax Increment Finance District.
Okay, so
Tax Increment Finance.
Break that down on a third grade level. What does it mean for the average person out there? TIF.
TIF is you can do sales tax TIFs. You can do ad valorem TIFs. Downtown Rose District is both. It's ad valorem and sales tax.
What's ad valorem stand for?
Ad valorem is property tax.
Okay.
So property tax and sales tax, and so that tax is frozen at that rate before you start when you start your TIF, and the increase in the taxes you get is how you pay the TIF off. And so that's what we've done. We've increased taxes. As I said, last time we talked, 7 years ago, we generated $17,000 in sales tax. Last year, or 2018, and in 2018, we had $431,000 we generated that year in the Rose District. So
this just in.
Plus ad valorem, we've had about $60 million of private investment. That increases property taxes, so that helps pay off the TIF even faster.
I know that you're only mayor to get mega points, so I'm going to give you some more mega points. But you're not doing it for the pay. I give you mega points. Here we go. Another mega point. I give these out like they're free. Okay, so step 4, make the right thing easy, which is what you're doing. You're getting government out of the way. As Aaron mentioned, Tulsa. GT, are you with me? Come on, GT. Get change that whole was the PVC issue.
Yes.
I'm going to run for mayor of Tulsa, and I'm going to say, up with PVC in 2024. That's me and my slogan.
Down with ductile iron.
Down with ductile iron. Stop ductile iron. Stop ductile iron. I think it's going to work. GT, you get ready. Get ready, buddy. Now, step 5, establish business improvement districts and other nonprofits. You've done that. Step 6, create a catalytic development company. Or what he's talking about here is they're talking about how you want to team up with people that want to create this mixed-use, walkable urban development.
Right.
Did you help them building that new theater there that people keep walking down to and seeing in downtown Broken Arrow and the Rose District? That theater?
That's the school district.
Did you do the school district
did that? We worked some with the school district on that, but school district that belongs to Broken Arrow Public Schools.
So step 7, create an urban entertainment district, and they list off things to do: movie theaters, check; restaurant, specialty retail. Have you read this thing?
No, I haven't.
Festivals.
Yes.
Arts. Are you sure?
I have not, but
dude, I read so much. I read this until my eyes exploded because the guy who's one of the wealthiest Oklahomans is reaching out to me, or one of the wealthiest Americans reaching out to me, saying, "Hey, about 23% of downtown Tulsa do this." It's like you've been reading this. You've never read this?
I have not seen it. No.
Oh, you're a unicorn. Okay, so step 8: develop a rental housing market. Do people rent condos in Broken Arrow now? Yes. Are some people doing that?
Yes, the rental housing market's really, really strong.
I feel like people are renting stuff on top of restaurants too downtown.
Yes.
Is that happening?
Yes.
You are a unicorn. So step 9, pioneer an affordability strategy. Essentially, make it affordable to conduct business downtown. Yes. Have you thought about these things?
Yes, we have.
This guy's good. Step 10, focus on for sale housing. Make it easy to build housing, sell houses. Shaw Homes just talked about that. Step 11, develop a local serving retail strategy. Done. Step 12, recreate a strong office market. Done. In conclusion, you are doing a good job. Now, rough questions. We take it up, we take it down. Charles Kolaw, you run KolawFitness.com. You and your wife, you started the business in a $115,000 house in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Yes.
Now today you have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. That'd be more than 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. A lot of members, thousands of members. You've got the location in Bartlesville, Topeka, in Joplin, soon to be Arlington, Texas.
Yes.
Commence the rude questions for the mayor.
Oh yeah.
What questions do you have?
All right, Super Mayor. Tell me what your top. Well, okay. First off, how long have you been mayor here in Broken Arrow?
8 years.
8 years. Okay, great. Out of these last 8 years, what would be your top, say, 3 biggest super moves?
I think the first one was Bass Pro in 2000.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
was on the council then, was a vice mayor then, and Bass Pro, bringing that to Broken Arrow was huge.
That's
and getting that area to develop. And then number 2 would be the Rose District, getting that to develop.
Okay. Awesome.
And number 3, probably the Warren Theater, and trying to get that area, South Broken Arrow, to start to develop, are the 3 big things.
Oh, yeah. Big moves. Big moves.
Now, Steve Currington, by the way, no matter how tough your questions are, he will one-up you.
Okay.
And he sells mortgages.
Yeah.
And so if people aren't buying houses in Broken Arrow, he makes less money. And although Mayor is doing these things to give back to the community, I'll tell you why Steve's doing this. He wants to take from the community. He wants all the money. You talk about there's like Robin Hood. He took from the rich to give to the poor. Steve's like, I don't really know about that, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to make some money.
I'm gonna tax
Steve
everybody
is
that takes
plundering
Yes.
Tulsa and Broken Arrow by giving great service. And he says, hey, look, if you're making it easy to build houses, I'm pro you. And his vote can be bought by making it easy to do mortgages. So I'm telling you, he's that kind of guy. So Steve's kind of like a pirate of entrepreneurship. So what other questions do you have?
Okay, I was going to say, what other 3 super moves would you like to see done in your future as mayor? Because we know you're going to win.
That was a little bit tougher.
Okay.
The first thing, though, that we've been working on, and probably the biggest thing we've done, is this innovation district. It's going to be the biggest thing.
Awesome.
And then we have to look really into the future and see what's going to be next. So we really don't know what's going to happen after the innovation district. But I think continue to grow jobs. That's really a big big thing to us is growing jobs, and we've really grown a lot of jobs. And we learned that because we're the last state in the United States that cities run on sales tax. So we've got to have jobs to have a daytime population to be able to generate sales tax. So that's probably number 2. And the third one, it's really hard to say. It's got to be, I think you got me on that one. It's got to be something that's that we haven't seen yet. But there's got to be something after. We have to continue to look down the road.
Can you think about this for a second? Have you been to St. Louis?
I have.
St. Louis has the big arch.
Yes.
And we have the Rooster Days, which is our celebration of downtown Broken Arrow.
Longest running festival in the
What
state.
if you build there's the Golden Driller. How tall is the Golden Driller? What's he, 5 stories, 10 stories tall, the Golden Driller? What if you erect a 40-story rooster?
I don't know if that would go over that good. We already have a bronze rooster downtown. We've gotten a lot of...
Shut down. Shut down. People are not...
The non-move. I like the idea, though.
Listen, everybody I know, and this is why I'm not mayor, but everybody I know, we go to St. Louis. This is what we do. We say, we're going to go to St. Louis. And you say, what are you going to do? We're going to go in that arch. Devin, have you done the arch?
I have.
Yeah, it's like we're going to go in the arch.
You got to do it. It is a move. It's
and
awesome.
I tell you what, then we'll get something to eat. So we go up in that elevator. We're riding to the top. We see the skyline of St. Louis, and then we're like, let's get something to eat. And we drove 5.5 hours to go do that. And I just feel like if we had a rotisserie rooster,
oh, there it is.
Rotate.
It's like a ride. It's
yeah,
like
and you
the
get in
the
it.
ninth wonder of the world.
Yeah, and you get in there and you rotate around. It's like, come see the rotisserie rooster. I just
Broken
think,
Arrow. Yeah, people will come all over the place.
oh man, and
You
I
probably would. That's a great idea, Clay.
And then after that happens, they say, what are you going to do? Now that we've seen the rotisserie rooster, what do you do? You say, well, first off, Aaron, what are we going to protest? What's that thing? We're going to protest what kind of pipe? Ductile iron. We're gonna form a parade, and we're gonna protest ductile iron.
Everybody's holding signs with no ductile iron.
And fathers and sons
around.
and daughters will go, Dad, I've never been in an outright protest before. What do I do? You say, step 1, get the riot gear. Step 3, you say, no more ductile iron. And then you throw stuff.
Big signs, yeah.
Big signs. I mean, this is I'm on the cutting edge of innovation. This is what's your next question? I think we have time for maybe one more question because I know your wife probably has a really well thought out, probably a better thought out question than you have. And I know Steve has questions. He's been festering on some issues that he'd like to air for a long time.
Okay.
Are you?
I was going to say your typical day.
Typical day.
What is your favorite thing to do as mayor?
Eat lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Down there in the Rose District.
In the Rose District.
Rotisserie rooster.
I think that there's a lot of things I enjoy doing. I don't really have a typical day because every day is different.
Well, there you go.
So it's really hard to say. It's I love everything that I do about the city, and and talking with people and trying to make their lives better. That's important. Having strong public safety is very important to us. So those are really good things that we do, that we enjoy. Talking with the police officers and the firefighters and seeing what they're doing and seeing what's going on in our community. There's always something different happening. So it's always different. So
I know that Steve is preparing himself psychologically and physiologically to ask you questions. I know Amber Kola is preparing herself as well, and I know Aaron has some follow-up questions too. But before we do that, you were in the presence of President Trump,
yes,
and Bloomberg and some other big names there.
Yes.
Mr. Carson, talk to us about the Trump's speech. Was he talking to all the mayors? Was he talking
Yes.
to what was
Yes.
the theme of the talk? Thumbs up, thumbs down. How was it?
Oh, I think he talked about how good the economy was, how things are going well in the country. We could see the teleprompter where we're sitting, and he goes off script. About half of his talk is off script.
Okay.
So it was kind of interesting to hear what he had to say when he went off script. But he talked a lot about the economy and how great it was, and how unemployment's the lowest it's been. More people are employed.
Yeah.
Larry Kudlow, who is as an economic advisor to him, talked about the fact that millennials are even employed. He said, yes, the snowflakes are working, which even got...
The snowflakes are working.
Yeah, so it got both sides of the aisle to laugh at that one. But it was a very interesting... we learned a lot about what's going on in the federal government.
Did you do the CNN move where you put your hand up and say, excuse me, Mr. President, and then you ask a passive-aggressive attack question just to see what would happen to you? Did you do that?
No, and the press was in there, and they didn't even ask questions, which was really unusual, because they usually are yelling questions at him. So he signed a bill that supports the synagogues and churches and protects them. So that while we were there, so that was it was more of a somber type event that way.
Did you see Bloomberg? Did you talk to Mr. Bloomberg?
No, I didn't talk to him. I did see him speak. He spoke.
What was he speaking about? Was he speaking about banning carbonated beverages, sugary beverages?
He was talking about his campaign and how he wanted to win. So that's really basically what his discussion was.
Okay. And then Mr. Carson, Ben Carson, the famous cardiologist, best-selling author, presidential candidate. What did he talk about?
He talked about HUD and affordable housing, which is a big issue, the homeless crisis we're having nationally, but talked a lot about affordable housing. And that is a big issue to him, is to try to get more affordable housing. But we already have that. In Broken Arrow, we have affordable housing, so we're not part of that discussion, really.
Did he bring some fire when he was talking, or was he more calm? Because this is my thing. I philosophically was most on board with Ben Carson, and I wanted him to win, but I felt like he doesn't have the sizzle of Trump on the microphone. Was he bringing some sizzle? Was he?
No, he's pretty laid back when he speaks.
Yeah.
Went to a HUD event about 12 months ago where he was at. The 25 elected officials across the country were selected, and we went and had a morning with him. And he's very sharp guy. It's amazing how sharp he is. But he's not real energetic.
Yeah.
The one thing I did like that he said is something what they're doing is trying to cut regulations. And he said, as a surgeon, when we had a problem, we just cut it out. He said that, and so he said that's what we're trying to do with regulations. So
it's good.
But he's really a sharp guy. I'm really impressed by everything he has to say.
Now, Amber Kola has been married to Charles Kola for a long time, and is the co-founder of Kola Fitness. And she is an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, has all that going. Amber, what questions would you have for Mayor Craig here?
Well, I think you had said you attend Life Church, so I'm going to say we have the same pastor. And
Yes.
Pastor Craig says, you always criticize what you don't understand.
Right.
And so what would you say to the listeners out there that, like, we understand being in the public eye, you get a lot of criticism, and usually that's because they don't understand you or the stance that you have or why you have that stance. So where can the people of Broken Arrow go to learn more about the platform that you stand on and why you believe what you believe, or how they could better understand you?
Well, I think that one thing they can do is they can email at cthurmond at brokenarrow.ok.gov if they have a question personally for me. That's one thing that people don't really know us, because we have a bio, but it doesn't really say who we are.
Right.
It talks about some things we've done, but doesn't say who we are. So that's always a challenge. I know a few years ago when I was running for office, I was there were some ladies that were really saying some bad things about me at a restaurant sitting right behind me.
Oh, wow.
So I got up and introduced myself. They didn't even know who I was. And so I think that's quite often that's how it works, is people don't know who you are. I would be happy to spend time with people and let them know. But I think that's people don't realize really who you are. And so it's hard to find that out unless you and there's really no place that you can go find out about candidates. Quite often, running for office is whoever the best marketer is, and they market themselves. And they quite often are not who they. I watch elections quite a bit, and I see people don't really know who they're voting for.
I just want to get this out there. Mayor Craig said that a group of ladies were talking bad about him, and he got up and talked to him. And I would say, first off, I don't appreciate being called a lady on the show.
Yeah.
And I did not know who you were. No, I'm just kidding. So, Amber, what is your maybe your final question or final questions for Mayor Craig? Anything at all? He specializes in the unexpected.
Probably just those same listeners out there that maybe they don't know a whole lot about government. I know for us, we've learned a lot along the way. It's like a whole different language, tax language, government. That's not something we were interested in or got into. We were just doing what we loved, and we've had to learn a lot along the way. So people who are not educated or they don't understand a lot of what you're talking about, and it seems so far out of reach, how can they start to understand how to even take part in that and how it does affect them and why it's important to them?
Well, I think it is important you get involved in your community is how you find out a lot of things. And unfortunately, if you own a business, you find out a lot of things that you learn a lot the hard way.
True.
Yeah.
That is true.
And so we try not to do that. Our community development department tries not to do that. But I think that, it's really tough for people to learn about government. And there's so much that you don't know about it. And local government is really what everybody deals with. When you think about it, you don't really, stuff that happens at the state and the federal government doesn't affect our day-to-day lives. If you don't have good police and fire and good public safety, if you flush your toilet and nothing happens, or no one picks up your trash, or you hit potholes in the street, those are all local government issues. And so it's important that you try to find out. And our citizens are really good about coming and finding out where they can about things and supporting us in what we do. We really don't have as much of a challenge, but some people just don't care. Their day-to-day life government doesn't, they don't think it impacts them, but it really does. Government does impact you.
If you're a business owner, it totally impacts you.
If
it
you're
totally
a business
does.
owner, but if you're a citizen, it impacts you.
Yeah, it does.
If you don't feel safe going home at night, it impacts you. If you turn on the tap and no water comes out, that impacts you. You don't realize, you just take it for granted it's going to happen.
Mayor, I don't feel safe when Devin's in the studio right now. I don't feel safe. We'll talk about that on another show. Oh no, Devin can hear me right now.
I think that's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. My bad. Sorry, I didn't know you could hear that over there. Let's go to Steve Currington here, and then we're going to let Aaron wrap up today's show by just peppering like pepper spray that keeps Broken Arrow safe. Pepper spray. He's going to pepper Mayor Craig here with questions here. Steve, you are the pirate of mortgages. You're the bowling ball of mortgages. You are the pioneer of Lamborghini driving mortgage people. You are loyal to the cities that allow you to make a lot of money. And talk to us about the questions you have for Mayor Craig Thurmond.
What part have you played in the speeding ticket premiums in Broken Arrow? I'm just kidding. I haven't got any.
He's not kidding, though.
No, I meet a lot of police, so it's good. The question I have is...
I meet a lot of police.
Well, I do. They're great. So
they write you a lot of tickets, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I get out of a few. We have really nice police in Oklahoma, so we're good. My question, I served on the board at the Bixby Chamber for about 10 years, and one of the things that we dealt with quite a bit is we had a business that we were representing, the businesses of the community, but then we also had that interaction with the city. So my question would be is how's you as mayor working with the local chamber? Because I know that you have a big relationship with them, and I know probably some of the Broken Arrow Chamber is funded by the city. So how does that relationship work, and how is that working with you and the city to help it be pro-business, and how does that continue to grow?
Well, it's really important that we work with the chamber, and I think that's, as I go nationally and I talk to other cities and they say, well, we work with our chamber, we work with our schools, and they say, we meet every quarter, and But it's really, we do a lot more than that. We're constantly. I'm on the board at the chamber, and also at the Economic Development Corporation at the chamber. I'm on their board. But every month I have a meeting. I have lunch with the president or the chairman of the board for the Broken Arrow Chamber and the chairman of the board of the Broken Arrow Schools. So we try to constantly have that relationship, and at any time we can call each other if we have an issue, but we try to talk about what are the issues, because we do serve the same constituent. When you think about it, the schools and the business community and the city all serve the same people.
Yeah.
So it's important that we're all on the same page and we work together. And the city manager meets with the school superintendent and the chamber president, and has breakfast with them every month and talks with them about issues. So it's important to keep that dialogue open and keep that door open. And that's really how we try to. In fact, I've got a meeting this week with the chamber president to talk about city issues, because the issues are the same issues.
Steve.
Got it. I got another question.
One more. We have time for one more question now. Remember, Steve, last time that we had you interview a mayor, we couldn't even air the show.
Right.
So let's keep it. Let's keep
not-
it on the rails here.
I ain't going back to prison.
Okay.
So we're not doing that again.
That's great.
Good. So my next question is, the Economic Development Corporation that was set up, was that set up during the time that you're mayor in the last 8 years? Or
No,
was that prior to?
it was set up right before.
Gotcha.
And I kind of stepped into that, and I'm involved in the Economic Development Corporation. It's set up where each entity, the chamber, the school, and the city all vote on every member that's on that board.
Okay.
So we've got right now a 9-member board, and they bring things to the city. It's like the Milestone Project that we talked about in Rose District. They put off RFPs. People submit proposals, and same thing with Stony Creek Conference Center. It all goes to the Economic Development Corporation, because there's a certain amount of confidentiality you can have if you can go to a private corporation like the Economic Development Corporation, where anything that's submitted to the city is subject to open meeting and open records.
Okay.
So people know what your competition is doing if you do it that way. So, but that's how it was set up. It was set up where myself, the school board chairman, and also the chairman of the chamber are all on there, and then there's 6 other members that are selected individually that are business involved in our community, business leaders.
You know, on today's show, we couldn't have Gandhi here because he's dead.
Dang it.
But Gandhi once said, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Be the change that you wish to see in the world." And I would just say, if you're out there listening today and you like Broken Arrow and you want to keep Broken Arrow growing at the rate that it is, and you want to see these great things happening, get out there and vote. And when can we get out there and vote, Mayor Craig?
It's April 6th. It's
April
election
6th.
of 2021. It's a year off.
April what? April what?
April 6th.
April 6th. Put that in your phone right now. I know people you're making your travel plans, you're moving around, you're doing stuff. Put it in your phone right now. Get that Google Calendar out and put that in the schedule, because you want to be the change that you wish to see. And if you're not happy with if you're not happy with the city that you're living in, places like not Broken Arrow, I'm telling you what, you might want to consider moving to Broken Arrow, because Broken Arrow is a very pro-business community. It's really a great place to raise a family. And now we're going to switch to Aaron Antis in the booth here. And Aaron, we started the show with you. We're going to end the show with you. You have the final word here.
Awesome.
Final question, final hot take. What do you want to share with the Thrive Nation on this special occasion as we interview Mayor Craig Thurmond here inside the studio?
I got to ask for permission to ask 2 questions, because one of them's really fast. One is, when you got to meet Trump, is the hair real or is it not? That's what I wanted to know. That's the quick question.
It looks real.
It looks real.
looks
Okay,
real.
that's an honest answer.
Okay,
I
this
appreciate
just
that.
did. That clears that up. Thank you.
Okay. And secondly, I've been around to a lot of different cities all over the country, and my question is, if there was a city in the United States that you look at and you go, 10 years, 20 years down the road, what would be great to see? I'd like to see Broken Arrow become something similar to this, something, because I know you meet, like the mayor's conference, and you go and you look at a lot of those things. Is it? I'd like it to be like
Paradise City?
Detroit or Compton, or is it like I'd like it to be more like Austin or maybe Plano or Frisco
Or Des Moines?
Raleigh. I mean, is there a city that people would know that they could go? I kind of want it to be sort of like this in the future.
Well, I think that we look at a lot of different cities, and that's the good thing about being involved in Conference of Mayors, National League of Cities, is we see what cities do wrong. That's more important than what they do right, I think, at times, and not make the same mistake that they make.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard. I mean, there are cities like Frisco and Plano that you look at, and that Arlington. It'd be great to be Arlington, but we're not going to have the Rangers and the Cowboys here, even though that rumor was out there.
I started the rumor.
Yeah, but
closing the loop.
But yeah, there's a lot of cities that do things right, and we try to think what they're doing right. But things that they failed at also is just as important. So
sometimes you learn from the mistakes more than you can from the wins.
Right,
Yeah,
and so
sense.
we just don't repeat those mistakes. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We can plagiarize other cities and do what they do and be
awesome?
Successful, and that's what we do.
Awesome.
My mind has expanded. I appreciate everybody out there for tuning in today. And again, if you have yet to get it on the calendar to vote, it's April 6th of 2021. Put that in your calendar. And did you do a website that talks about the various things you believe? Do you have a website, or is there a place people can find out more about you?
I don't have a website, but
okay.
As get closer to re-election, I need to do that.
Okay, all right. There he is, Mayor Craig Thurmond. That's Aaron Antis right there with Shaw Holmes. We've got Charles and Amber Colaw with Colaw Fitness. Steve Currington representing Steve Currington Enterprises.
Total Lending Concepts.
Total Lending Concepts. But really, Steve Currington Enterprises.
That's true,
He's
too.
Also the founder of Lambros, which
That
is
also true.
his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And but Total Lending Concepts is his website. And I'm telling you what, if you want to get a mortgage funded fast, that's your guy right there.
That is the guy.
And Devin Woolery, thanks for putting up with me, my friend. And next time, don't ask those weird, difficult questions that make the mayor so uncomfortable. All right, now we like to end each and every show with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.